Thank you, thank you. Libertarians, what's going on, guys? Yeah, baby. I'm happy to be up here, trust me. It's been 8 months and it's been a wild roller coaster. I've been to 21 states in the last 5 months and 17 state conventions. I don't know that there's ever been a chair candidate that's done that. Nick has? Have you done that? All right. I've seen many of your faces, and I've gotten the opportunity to really put my finger on the pulse of this party and find out what can help us be more successful. I want you to know that today you will hear tons of attacks on this stage on me. There's no doubt about that. If you've been following this race at all, it has been insane for all of us. You might hear about my child support. Someone up here might try to tell you that I don't care about my kids. That's false. I've gone through the family law system like many other men in America, in fact, millions that have been destroyed by the family court, and I came out on the other side a stronger man that still cared about his family. You're gonna hear that I can't hold a job. That's false. I decided I'd become an entrepreneur so I can focus all of my time on this party, because that's what's important to me. So don't let those attacks deter you. I am the only person in this race that has laid out a plan for the last 8 months to make this party more successful. In those last 8 months, I've come up with a pretty solid blueprint for success. I've talked about marketing and fundraising, something that this party has historically done horrendously. There is no doubt about that. No one in here can ignore that. I want to build a fundraising committee. Our best fundraisers in this country can raise money for our candidates like no one's business, and we never set them down and say, how can we be more successful? The same goes for marketing. I've talked about building coalitions. I've already started doing that. I've gone out and built coalitions with some of the biggest crypto communities in this country. Candidate education. We have to train our candidates before we try to run 2,000 people across this country. They need help. I want to take this last 15 seconds to say that I appreciate all my competitors up here. You've all done something good for the movement, even you, Matt. Thank you very much, and let's get to work.
The chair position is unpaid. How will you fund your personal travels and accommodations to fulfill the expectations of a national party leader?
Yeah, absolutely. So in my opening, I talked about how I put my whole life on hold for this campaign because this party is the most important thing to me. So what I did was I let go of my normal 9-to-5 job and I became an entrepreneur. I started my own business. I've been working in the rental property maintenance business on the side for the last 10 years and decided I had enough business and enough work to start my own business. And so that gives me the freedom to travel, it gives me the freedom to set my own schedule, and it gives me the money that I need to make sure that I get to states that need our help. That's basically it. Thank you, guys. I'll yield the floor.
How would you, as chair, deal with a libertarian candidate who you feel harms the party or the cause of liberty?
Ooh, that's a rough one, huh? LOLK? Look, I think if someone's harming our activism and they're harming the party and they're harming other candidates, and I've just traveled the country and heard this story time and time again, but it wasn't from a candidate. It was from a vice chair. I would make sure that I set that person down and let them know that if they continue to do that, we're gonna find a way to stop it. Because that's what leadership does. That's what leadership should always do, is make sure that the brand is okay and that we're not hurting other people's activism. Thank you.
What efforts would you prioritize to get the LP ready for the 2020 campaign?
I'm glad that the current chair talked about fundraising. That's the first time I've heard him actually say it in person. I think that fundraising is going to be so important going into 2020. We're working with less than $2 million right now. We can't exist as a national political party on $2 million. We just cannot do it anymore. It's insane to think that we can. 18 years ago, we had a $3 million budget, and now we have half of that. We gotta stop. We gotta start focusing on marketing. Marketing is so important, especially digital marketing today. It's the digital era. We don't focus on it at all. And we need to build a base for our down ballot candidates around the country, because grassroots means everything to this party. We will have a successful 2020 if we have successful down ballot candidates going into the election. Thank you.
What work would you do to convince elected officials of other parties to switch to our party, assuming that they're aligned with our statement of principles?
I actually agree with Chris. I think we should be focused on getting libertarians elected. Absolutely, 100%. That's great. I think the single most important thing we can do if we're thinking about flipping already elected officials to the Libertarian Party is to get our current elected officials re-elected. Let's give a round of applause for Brandon and Caleb Dyer and Laura Epke, because those are important to our party. I'm very much from the school of Larry Sharp in this aspect. I will sit down with anybody in this country that wants to talk about liberty from any party, any background, and any walk of life, and I will sell them the ideals that we're trying to sell daily. And that is how we move forward. Thank you.
Is the danger of a takeover of the LP by left or right-wing collectivists real or imagined? How do you address the concern?
Is it possible? Sure, absolutely. Our party is half the numbers it was 18 years ago when we had Harry Brown, who cared about principle. Currently, we have a confirmed communist running for chair of this party on stage. It's absolutely possible. And until we grow this party with libertarians, it will continue to be possible. And that's why I say my first month as chair, I will reaffirm our principles, including property rights, and make sure that this country knows what we stand for.
How should the LP most effectively exploit the current disillusionment with the political status quo?
Well, we talked about it earlier. The independent bloc is a very important bloc, but there's another bloc we aren't really talking about. There's 60% of the voters, or of the non-voters in this country, are not voting. They're just not. And we need to reach out to those people, and we need to set ourselves apart from the status quo by reaffirming our principles, by showing that we don't support them, we don't support their candidates, and being the second party, not the third party. Thank you.
The question is, what do the terms purism and pragmatism mean to you and to the Libertarian Party?
Awesome, thank you. I am going to invoke two sayings that I've heard from two other people. A good friend of mine once said, it's not about pragmatists and anarchists, it's about the talkers and the doers. Another good friend of mine once said, we're on a 3,000-mile journey. We're at exit 3 and we're arguing about the last 3 exits. Who cares? We got work to do. We're going in the same direction. Let's get it done. Let's figure out the blueprint and start getting to work. Thank you.
Does the internal culture of the party need to change? If so, what is the role of the chair in changing it?
You know, I think that's a really loaded question, to be honest with you. There's several different cultures in this party. I think that a national leadership team needs to set an example for our state affiliates, needs to set an example for our local affiliates. And I believe that the LNC culture can absolutely use a change. I think hateful rhetoric needs to be pushed aside, and I think we need to fill that time with work ethic. I think we need to fill that time with getting candidates elected at all levels of office across the entire nation and making our party much more successful. Thank you.
Should Tim Moen and his Libertarians form a government in Canada? Should the decision as to joining the Canadian Federation be left to the states?
You
I'm
joining the
definitely
Canadian
not qualified
Federation
to
or
talk
what?
about Canadian politics, but I will say this. I followed Tim Moen for a long time. I'm a big fan, actually. Thank you for this. And I think Tim Moen and his Libertarians should be able to do whatever they want as long as they're not harming or taking somebody else's property. Thank you.
Short and simple. Over to you, Nick.
That's it. That's all I got, man.
So, should Tim manage to form a government in Canada? One, I'd be kicking myself because why the hell did we let the Canadians get out in front of us? But I'll also say what I said when I spoke at the Libertarian Party of Washington convention in Vancouver. Joshua wasn't there, but Tim Moen was. And I said that if Tim Moen ever moves south of the border and naturalizes, I'm immediately going to run him for LNC chair because he's taller, he's more attractive, and he's a goddamn hero.
Pretty good answer. But I see Joshua threw out his rebuttal card. Go ahead.
I did.
Am I not good looking? What are you going to rebut here?
What's that? One more time, Tim. What'd you say?
No, you got 30 seconds.
Oh,
Go ahead and rebut.
I didn't live in Washington at the time, Nick. Thank you very much. But I just went to 17 state conventions across the country, and I saw you at 3. I appreciate it.
So each candidate will have 2 questions. They're going to ask them one at a time, do the first round of questions, and then we'll go to the next question and do another round. Each candidate has 1 question to ask another candidate.
What do you think about Bill Weld?
Yeah, Nick, what do you think about Bill Weld?
I get 1 minute?
1 minute to answer.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
What I think about Bill Weld is that he is still in the Libertarian Party when many of his opponents were not. That he goes around the country raising money for and endorsing Libertarian candidates. That he fundraises for us. And that the exposure of Bill Weld to the Libertarian Party has not made the Libertarian Party more like an establishment Republican, but it's made Bill Weld a lot more like a Libertarian. The other thing I think about Bill Weld is that he knows something about winning public office, and that we should be willing to learn how to do that from anybody who will help us, anybody who will join us, and we should not push people out who are willing to help because of our ideology.
Carry on, Nick. Carry on.
And I'm going to ask Joshua.
Oh, hold on, we have a rebuttal card played.
Yeah, well, I played it.
Oh, you played it, sorry.
People come to this party at one convention to get one thing, one nomination, and they leave. And this is Joshua's first convention. And we'll see what he does after this one convention.
Was it a question or not?
Nope.
Okay.
My question is for Joshua. You have said that you have a plan for making fundraising $4 million. You've said that you have a plan for viral marketing. You have a plan to bring our party to a new level. And this is not a job that you can learn while you're doing it. So I'm going to ask, what experience do you have in raising money, electing candidates, building parties, chairing meetings, or any of the relevant tasks that this job requires?
Oh, you got the music.
Go ahead, Joshua.
Oh, I appreciate the question, Nick. I don't have the relevant experience. I've talked about that actually over the last 8 months. That's fine. But I've been able to build a team, coalitions with the crypto community, people that are in this room like Nexus Earth, Jim Cantrell from Vector Space Systems. I've been able to start building a policy team so we can artfully craft a libertarian message that the population can digest. I've been able to travel to 17 states. I went to Oklahoma on 15 minutes notice, and I was able to chair their state convention. It's not always about experience, Nick. It's about vision. It's about ideas. It's about coalition building. It's about a blueprint for success. And I've already started doing these things, and I know they will be successful. Thank you.
All right, we had a rebuttal card thrown by Nick, so 30 seconds on the clock for Nick.
I've heard a lot about coalitions and outreach and teams, but I've heard nothing about your county party. How many members does it have and how many did it used to have? Your campaign for public office, why did you stop and who did you recruit to replace you? Your state party, what fundraising you've done for anything other than your own race for chair.
Okay, my question is for Joshua, who often calls me a violent collectivist. He calls me a statist, which isn't true. Yet Joshua has sent me an email and a document that's threatening me with a lawsuit for $80,000 of losses for this volunteer position he's running in. And he's also threatening me with federal charges for blackmail after being endorsed by the guy who wrote the book called Legalized Blackmail. So Joshua, do you plan on continuing to threaten me with the state after this, or will it be over?
All right, 1 minute on the clock. Go ahead and answer, Joshua.
Let's just ask, what kind of candidate for an unpaid position would try to blackmail another candidate? How about we ask that question? That's the more important question. What are you scared of, Matt? Look, I sent a soft draft of a lawsuit over to this gentleman because he decided he was going to try and release my business's private chats. Business talk. If I didn't drop out of this race a week before this convention, there'd still be civil suits, even if we had a completely voluntary society. I was letting them know that that wasn't okay. That wasn't a good practice. That's not what we want in the Libertarian Party. You can be mad at me about it if you want. That's fine. I do it again. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's it. Yeah.
All right, we have a rebuttal card played by Matt. Go ahead, Matt. 30 seconds.
I understand Joshua's new at this, but when you run for office, you open yourself up to public scrutiny. And when you run as a libertarian, you're supposed to be running for an accountable and transparent government. So if you can't be transparent and accountable yourself, and if a whistleblower sends private chats full of homophobic speech and threats of overthrowing the Libertarian Party, that wouldn't be relevant if you weren't running for this chair. So welcome to politics.
We've had a rebuttal card played by Christopher, so Christopher, over to you.
What we are witnessing at this moment is exactly why I made the decision to run for chair. I have watched as this race has devolved into bitter name calling and getting so far from the subject at hand, which is once again, how do we elect libertarians? Enough of this. Let's get back to talking about how we do the business of the party and how we give our candidates and our activists the best possible chance for success. It is not through personal attacks. It is not from going back and forth up here on the stage, wasting everybody's time talking about personal bickering. Respectfully, gentlemen, let's get back to the task at hand. How are we going to elect libertarians?
Thank you, Christopher.
Okay, my question is for Joshua.
Shocking.
I want to know why it is that he receives these endorsements from people like Liberty Hangout, recently Augustus Invictus, all these right-leaning authoritarians, and I want to know why that is and why he doesn't reject them and why he. I didn't set up Liberty Hangout endorsing him, so I'd like to know why does he have such a strong alt-right following?
You got a minute, Joshua.
I've been talking smack to Augustus Invictus for 2 years, and he knew that I was doing it, and he decided to come out today about a half an hour before this debate and fake endorse me. I immediately denounced Augustus Invictus. I think he's a dark stain on this party, and I would never accept his support ever. Hold on, I'm not done, Matt. Liberty Hangout is a publication that boasts liberty. And they have been doing this for a long time. They have over 100,000 followers. And a friend of mine and myself have been trying to push them into a more libertarian direction because we like a big platform that can spread real libertarian ideals. So we got them to fire their alt-right people. All of them. They got rid of all of them. Chase Rochelle's, all of them, they're gone. And they started denouncing Trump and working for a more libertarian cause. And if I can take any platform and move someone in a more libertarian direction.
Sorry.
Hey, can we turn the mute? Excuse me.
You know what, I'm fine.
You're done?
It's fine.
He threw his card.
That's all right.
No, I saw the card. It was the music I wanted
cool,
turned
it's fine.
off.
That's all right.
You're good, okay.
Hey, look, if we can move any big platform like that into a more libertarian direction, we need to do it. We're not a big party, we need to be bigger.
Was there another rebuttal card played during that? There was?
Yeah, Matt played one.
Matt, please go ahead.
I like to say every so often Joshua will come out and say, I don't support them, blah, blah, blah. But they still support you, and you don't figure out why. You don't care why. You accept their endorsements no matter what. And just the other day, they posted, open borders are communists. So they still believe in deporting peaceful people from this country. So they have not moved in a more libertarian direction.
You know, I just got to do this. Matt, why are you here?
Fair question. It's okay. It's okay.
All right, over to Matt. You have 1 minute to answer the question.
So I explained earlier, Gary Johnson is what brought me into this party. But there's a long history before that. When I was a young teenager and early adult, I was just a punk. I lived on the streets, I squatted in houses, I lived in the ghettos, and these are my people. And when I wanted to promote Gary Johnson to them, they didn't want to hear it. Ron Paul attracted me with his abolishment language and his anti-war, and I wanted to figure out a way to get across to the people who I identify with. I found the left libertarian ideals, and I connected with them myself. I identify with them myself, and I'm able to use that to promote the same platform, basically. I'm still in line with the platform of abolishing the government to its maximum. I want it all gone. So that's why I'm here. I feel like this is the party where if you want to abolish the whole state, this is where you do it.
All right, and we have another rebuttal card played by Joshua. Joshua, 30 seconds to rebut.
Since no one else on this stage is going to say it, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Rent and property are not theft. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Nicholas. I've heard you recently start saying that you've made a lot of mistakes. I appreciate that. I think humility is important. What I want to know is, are you sorry for those mistakes? To our members.
Go ahead, Nick.
I wanted to be chair of this party because I have 4 children in the back of this room and a beautiful wife who I want to grow up in a world that's more free than the one I grew up in. I've taken away thousands of dollars and countless hours from my family and from my work in order to lead this party. And so everything that I have done that has been less than as good as it could be to build up this party is something I'm sorry for. Every missed opportunity is something I'm sorry for. Every time that I have not been good enough for you and I've let you down, it's something I'm sorry for. All I can do is my best. And if you elect me chair again, I will continue to do my best. And if that's not good enough, then you should elect someone else.
I have 2 minutes to close.
Thank you guys so much for listening to this great debate. It's been hilarious and awesome and fun. I don't necessarily agree with Mr. Thrasher here. I believe that we need a visionary. I don't think we need an operator. We have parliamentarians. We have administrators. That's what those people do. We need someone with a strong vision and strong ideas to move this party forward. I've committed very hard. I've started building coalitions already. I've started working on a policy team. I've started getting people together in this party that can do things like raising $280,000 for Jeff Hewitt in a county supervisor race in Southern California, ready to start raising money for a national party that needs to operate on more than $1.5 million. I've started putting together a real marketing team. Several of those people who have committed are sitting in this room. At the end of the day, I'm a blue-collar American human, and I've struggled. I have. Some of these people like to bring my struggles up in front of all of you. But I've seen the state put their hand on myself and many other people in this country, and I know that this party is the absolute best venue to push back. And I will not see us fail anymore. I will only be here to make sure that we succeed, no matter the cost. Thank you, guys.
Ask a Libertarian Facebook fan page is spreading awareness of libertarianism and informing non-libertarians while empowering those who support liberty on a daily basis. This is your opportunity to be empowered and let us advocate libertarianism for you at facebook.com/askalibertarian.